Alright, welcome back everybody, and we are going to do a pod review on that pepper right there. And this is a pepper I crossed many years ago, and I saved a seed for it, and I never bothered pursuing it. So I went into my seed vault and I decided to start growing out some of the more early crosses that I had created, and just see if it's worth keeping, or I can clear out that part of my seed vault and just get rid of these seeds if I'm not interested in pursuing it anymore. So I figured I'd do that with a bunch of seeds, and some of them, yeah, I'm going to just pretty much get rid of them because they don't really look anything special, and they kind of look atypical, so to speak. But some of the ones that are exhibiting some of the more weird features, I am keeping, like the black rib one here. I forgot. I think this is HR116. This is a later cross, so that's a good one. I'm probably going to keep that cross. And here's this one here, which is HR31. Okay, so I'll give you a better look at it. And this is a cross between a condor's beak and a hot marbles pepper. Just wanted to see what would happen if I crossed it and what would come out of it. And basically what you see here is what's coming out of it. So it's a very interesting looking pepper. It kind of looks like a condor's beak, but it's red and shiny. Unlike the condor's beak. Condor's beaks generally are purple, and they have they're not quite as shiny like this, and their shape is usually a little bit more pointy and blunt nose. This one's kind of strange, so we'll pick this one off and give you a better look at it. Try to zoom you up. So yeah, you can see it's kind of weird looking. It does hang down. This is not an upright pepper. Okay, does hang down, and it's kind of strange. It looks kind of like a condor's beak, but it has some other features in it. So yeah, it did give me something a little strange. Now, when I did cross this in the earlier days, when I first started doing my crosses, I did not isolate the flowers. So in other words, when you generally cross hybrid peppers, you want to isolate the flower completely. So you wrap it with foil. First thing you do is you get a flower. Before the flower, like this, I'll just quick lesson here on hybridization. See, like this flower, this would be the donor because it's already open and it's ready to supply the pollen and everything. But in general, what you do is you get a flower that's not open yet. It's kind of like a little round ball. I'm looking for one. This is the end of the year, so there's really no flowers really left. Everything kind of bloomed already. But what happens is when these flowers, before they open, okay, try to get you at least on something here. So before the flower opens, it's like a ball. Okay, that means it's sealed inside of that ball with the pollen and the male parts and all of that, and so none of that escapes. So generally what you want to do is you want to get those flowers before they open, and then you got to take a very sharp X-Acto knife, and then you got to remove all the petals in general around it, and then you want to remove the anthers, and you only want to leave the styly, or I believe it's styly, or something like that, the male part, that little wand that comes out of it. You want to leave just that part. You want to take off any of the anthers that produce pollen, so it doesn't get pollen even from its own flower. You just want that male part. And then from there, once you do that, then you can take your donor flower, like for example over here, I got a flower here that would be a donor, and you can take that flower and you would take the anthers and just kind of rub that into it, so that it would only get that pollen. And once you're done with that, you would wrap this thing up with a piece of foil, and then you would have it labeled, you know, HR31, like I've been using those early numbers. So you would just mark it as HR31, and hopefully it turns into a fruit. So that's how you should be doing it. I didn't do that in the earlier days. I used to just pick a flower from another plant, just kind of come over to it, get inside of there, kind of rub it around. So we used to get its own pollen mixed as well with with the pod from the donor flower. So it's a kind of a cacophony. You mainly want to get rid of the pollen from the the mother flower, you mainly want to remove those anthers because you don't want the genetics being more dominant from the mother than the pepper that you're introducing to it. You want that to be the dominant trait. So that's why you remove the anthers from the mother. If you don't do that, a lot of times the mother will be like 80-90% dominant in the trait, and it'll pick up a little bit of the other pepper. It's when you get all the pollen from the donor into that mother flower, that mother plant, that's where you start getting some strange stuff. So you have to do it that way if you really want good crosses. But again, in my early days, I didn't really do that. I do it now because I know better. But in the early days, as I was fooling around, that's not how you do it. And that goes for all hybridizing. Anytime you're going to hybridize any plant, you want to make sure you do that. All right, so there it is. All right, so let's turn you around and give that a go. All right, here we are. We're doing another pod review today. It's going to be on this pepper right here, and this pepper is called the HR31 for now. It's an early cross that I created very early on, and I never really pursued it because I was doing so many crosses, and I didn't really have time, to be honest with you. Doing cross pollination is really a dedicated thing because anytime you cross your peppers, you got to grow them out like at least 10 plants the following year, then the next year another 10 plants, and you got to keep doing that. And it's a dedication. When I'm growing right now, I grow like 100 to 150 new varieties every year. I really don't have time to fool around with my cross-pollinated varieties, as well as getting into the whole cross-pollination thing, because it's very time-consuming, and you need to expand your operation quite a bit. And that includes employees and things like that. And I'm not quite looking to do that. You really, once you start getting it, your operation starts getting that big, you got to expand if you want that type of stuff to really be effective for you. Because again, it's a very time-consuming process when you're cross-pollinating, and I just don't have the time for that, to be honest with you. But what I can say is that I do have a number of crosses that I am trying to grow out now, just to see what comes out of them. And if I like the plant variety, if I grow out 10 seeds and I get 3 or 4 of that particular pheno that I like, I'll just isolate those, and I'll save them, and I'll grow those out from year to year. Depending, it's got to be interesting for me. If it's just not really interesting enough, I'm not really going to pursue it anymore. I used to keep all my crosses. I'm getting rid of them now because they're taking up space, and it's starting to get old, and eventually the seed is just going to die. But here's this one here. Again, this is a cross between a condor's beak and a hot marbles pepper, and I'm trying to remember which was the mother. I think the mother was the condor's beak. The donor was the hot marbles, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm correct about that. So again, when you're doing cross-pollinating, you want to remove the anthers from the mother and just leave the style in the middle, or styly, whatever it's called. You just want that in the middle. You do not want that pollen to get on that styly in any way from the mother. What the idea here is to get the pollen from the donor onto that mother flower. And that's how you get with the good stuff. In these early days, I didn't do that. I just took the donor flower and I just kind of did that. You don't do that. You want good crosses, you got to do it like I talked about a little earlier. So maybe I'll do a video for you guys one day on cross-pollinating. I'll show you what I do. It's involved. You got to get it's really technical, and it really gets involved a little bit. And then I can do a cross-pollen with you. I'll do like maybe I think I'm up to like HR 200 something. I've done a lot of crosses, and so I'm up there somewhere. I also cross-pollinate other plants, but as far as pepper goes, I'm up there like in the HR 200 something. And I'll the next time I go to do another cross, and I'm going to rename it and number it, we can walk you through that process, and then we'll grow it out the following year, and then we'll see what comes out of it. That's really the only way to do it. Or you could just, you don't even have to wait. I generally use a technique that accelerates the stabilization process, and so maybe we'll walk you through all that process, so I don't have to wait 10 years to get to an F10. I have an accelerated process in order to get us to that point very quickly. and within a few years instead of 10 years. So I can get to an F10 in a few years. It just, again, it's a time-consuming thing. You got to be dedicated. You need room. You need space, supplies. But here it is, the HR31. I guess we'll just stick with that for now. But it is a condor's beak. I'll try to show it to you. It's a red version, or an orange version, or a deep red, and there's a very shiny, smooth skin on it. And its pendant hangs down like the condor's beak. It's primarily really kept the complete. This pepper really kept the almost a whole version of what condor's beak is, and I wanted the donor to actually be the dominant feature in this, and it turned out that the mother kept it the dominant feature within this pepper. But I still find it a little interesting. It is a condor's beak that basically turns orange instead of, you know, instead of it turning like, I forgot what they turn into. They're like purple and red and stuff like that. They're a cool pepper, but this is definitely not doing what the typical condor's beak does. So it is exhibiting traits from the hot marbles. It's just the shape of it stayed as a condor's beak. So we'll give that a bite and see what it tastes like. Tastes like a habanero. Very floral. Wow, that was interesting. That kind of had like a habanero-ish type of flavor. Had a typical chinense flavor. If I'm not mistaken, that's generally the condor's beak type flavor, if I'm not mistaken. But it kept that flavor, and the it had like a very floral, perfumey type flavor. Perfumey, I'm not referring to the soap taste that you get. I'm referring perfumey, like almost like a fragrant, like a flower, like it bit into a flower. This thing is red hot, guys. Wow. I'll tell you what, this thing kept the heat, or the heat vamped up on it. That's really strange. I didn't expect that. That heat went way up on it. It's burning now. It's starting to pound the end of my tongue. It's very possible maybe some pollen from another plant got into that one. That was really strange. That flavor really threw me off. It was like, whoa, I did not expect that. That was a very it was a very interesting kind of an effect when I got it. It was like, woo, it lightened everything up. Got that habanero kind of flavor. I almost didn't expect. I'm kind of expecting it to taste kind of like a hot marbles type pepper. It didn't taste anything like that. What it did do is it tasted like kind of like that habanero type flavor, and then it had like a like this essence of like a flower or something. It tasted like a very fragrant type of a flower. It's very beautiful, kind of, and it kind of came and then it just disappeared. Very interesting effect on that. As far as the heat on it goes, it's a pretty intense heat. It's burning like a chinense. It's burning the end of my tongue, underneath my tongue. It was a little bit of a slow builder. It took a little bit of time to come in. Let me smell that pepper and see if it smells like a habanero. It has a little bit of a chinense, possibly even almost scorpion type smell. That's really strange. I grow so many hot peppers, it's very possible a little extra pollen may have gotten on that one. Again, I didn't bag those blooms, and I just kind of wung it. I just put a little piece of tape, and I have these numbers that you use for electrical. When you want to number a wire, like you wrap these little numbers around it. That's how I did it. I didn't actually seal off the blooms. This is old. This is actually an old hybrid. This goes way back. I'm surprised it actually sprouted. I think I planted 10 seeds and only like 2 of them came up. But that flavor was really cool. That was a really nice experience. Kind of came and gone, and then you're starting to get this ferocious burning type of chinense burn. It's a very direct, striking type of burn. It's really hitting the front of my tongue. I chewed it like right here. It's all burning out, a little bit into the gums, a little bit on the back of the throat. And switch hands here. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, hold you back. This arm, my rotocuff it's pretty bad. It's been years and years of working with jackhammers will do that to you. But yeah, it was that was a really nice. That was a really, really, really nice flavor and effect on it. Again, the heat was very striking. Now, what would I put that heat at? What number would I put that at? I'll tell you what. That was like the heat of a habanero. It was pretty direct. I would definitely put this at least at the low end of the habanero. It's starting to come down now, but my tongue is like singed. I would definitely say I'd put that at the low end of the habanero. Maybe like somewhere probably around 100, maybe 125,000, something like that. And it was very strong and it was very direct. It was a typical chinense type of a burn. It was a striking, relentless, and somewhat almost unforgiving type of burn. When that hit comes in and strong, you're committed to that one. You are committed. You better either have your cream ready or your ice cream or whatever you're gonna do, your stick of butter, so you can stick a stick of butter in your mouth, whatever. But this was, yeah, you're committed with this one. But it was a good one. I like that, actually. I'm looking forward to getting a few more pods out of here. I'm gonna winter this one over because of that reason. I got a few more pods that'll come off it this year, but I'm going to winter this plant over, and we're going to pursue that next year. We're going to grow that out fully and see what comes out of it, really. Just see how many pods it produces, how big they might get. These might get bigger than that. Remember, this is only like, what, an F2? So it could change. It could vary a little bit in time. Just got to, even the same plant that you winter over, those pods, after it cycles for a year, if you keep it around for 2 years, 3 years, those pods will actually change a little bit in time, and they really stabilize themselves into what they want to become off the same plant that you've wintered over year in and year out. Those genetics really fortify themselves. So when you go to grow them from seed again, it's almost as if the plant is already an F10. It's pretty stable at that point. They don't change anymore. They're not really. You might get a couple of things that'll throw off from it. Like in general, when you hybridize plants and you're using like 2 or 3 different variations, or two or three different donors to the mother flower. Like you added pollen from here, then you picked another flower from another plant, and you added a little pollen to that thing, and you kind of keep mixing it up. When you do it that way, the plant's very unstable. You'll get all kinds of crazy phenotypes will come out of it for years. And if you just stick with one flower, one donor, one mother, you generally they're pretty stable. So this one should be a stable variety. I just need to grow it for like 2 or 3 years, and those pods that come off that will pretty much stay that way. You don't really have to phenotype it. That's my experience with it anyway. But yeah, this is a really good variety. I'm definitely going to winter it over and keep it going, and we'll see what goes on with that. It's a very strange combination off of that habanero flavor off that little almost bird-like pepper. That was strange. So anyway, guys, I don't know what else to say about it. I'll put whatever information I did save on that pepper in the description below and on the website. And I'll also put a link below in the description if I decide to sell seeds for it. I might just build a web page but not offer seed for it yet. And then put that on my website. And you could go there and buy seeds whenever the seeds do become available. And hope you enjoyed the video. That's it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.